New alarm bells ringing tonight on the coronavirus outbreak in this country as the number of dead rises. More confirmed cases tonight in New York and Los Angeles, where an airport worker on the front lines of stopping the virus's spread has been infected. Officials there cautioning people about how they should interact with others going forward. While in the hardest hit area near Seattle, a sobering warning to those over the age of 60. We start with Miguel Almaguer.
Tonight in Los Angeles, a local emergency as 6 new coronavirus cases have been confirmed and now a startling warning shaking the region of 10 million people.
Use verbal salutations in place of handshakes and hugs. And whenever possible, try to keep 6 feet between you and other people that you don't know at large events.
Among those infected in LA, a federal contract employee brought in last month to help screen international travelers at LAX who may have exposed passengers while working without symptoms. 3 others, also sick, recently traveled to Italy, where a growing outbreak has killed more than 100, shuttering all schools through mid-March. Here at home, growing concern the virus could quickly impact vulnerable homeless populations in cities across the country. The 11th fatality announced today, the first in California. An elderly passenger on a cruise ship from San Francisco to Mexico. There are now more than 150 cases in a growing number of states.
It's a little shocking because it's hitting close to home.
It comes as authorities in the nation's largest city track a new cluster of illnesses. A New York City lawyer is hospitalized, his wife, daughter, and son testing positive. A family friend who he spent time with is also positive, as are his wife and 3 children. Officials also announcing the neighbor who drove the lawyer to the hospital has the virus. The neighbor's children are being tested. The governor says no need to panic.
We're dealing with a coronavirus epidemic. We have a bigger problem, which is a fear pandemic. And the anxiety here is outpacing the reality of the situation.
But a different message near Seattle, where many of the deaths are connected to this nursing home. Officials are now urging anyone over 60, people with underlying health issues, and pregnant women to stay home if possible. Tonight, a fine line balancing caution and fear.
Doctors say the virus is spread through droplets when someone coughs or sneezes. The reason behind that 6 feet of distance, but Lester, actually implementing that in a city like this one will be difficult.
There's more on the coronavirus now. Strong new ripple effects today. United Airlines announcing big cuts in its schedules, just as families plan for spring break and summer vacations. Other airlines taking action as well. Tom Costello has more.
For the travel industry, the coronavirus has been a body blow. Cruise ships quarantined, meetings and conferences called off, corporate travel curtailed, study abroad programs and school trips canceled. Now, with demand dropping, United Airlines is announcing unprecedented deep cuts to its schedule. 10% of domestic flights and 20% of international flights will be cut in April and probably also in May as it parks planes. Fewer planes means fewer seats. With airline stocks in deep decline, United now says it's offering unpaid leave to employees. At the White House today, airline CEOs conveyed their concern.
This is a time unprecedented in our history that we need to be absolutely understanding of people's travel plans.
Yeah, I think where these people are flying, it's safe to fly, and large portions of the world are very safe to fly.
But the largest flight attendants union is calling for hand sanitizers on planes and in airports, thorough aircraft cleaning, and covering lost wages for aviation workers exposed to the virus. Already, U.S. airlines are waiving ticket change and cancellation fees and suspending certain international flights. Japanese airlines also cutting back on flights. And today, Germany's Lufthansa announced it's grounding 20% of its planes, though health experts urge U.S. travelers not to overreact.
Traveling across the United States, I wouldn't cancel any of my plans.
Airlines clean their planes at night using disinfectants, but the CDC said today the virus can live on surfaces inside the plane for up to 24 hours. All the more reason, say experts, bring your own sanitary wipes, wipe down the tray tables and the armrests as soon as you sit down. Lester?
Some important information there, Tom. Thank you. And Hollywood now feeling the impact of the coronavirus. The release of the new James Bond movie has been pushed back as concerns grow over public gathering and sports. Joe Fryer has that.
Like a Bond villain, coronavirus has pushed the release of the next 007 film, No Time to Die, from April to November. The first major movie shifting its rollout because of the outbreak.
I think we got to prioritize people's safety over the movie coming out.
From movies to music festivals, questions are swirling around large public events. In Texas, major companies like Twitter and Facebook pulled out of the South by Southwest Festival, which starts in 9 days. Austin's mayor says health officials will ultimately recommend if the show should go on.
At this point, there's no evidence to suggest that canceling South by Southwest makes the community safer.
In Miami, our affiliate WTVJ reports the Ultra Music Festival has been postponed, while Chicago State University's basketball squads have canceled games and travel this week, but the NCAA's March Madness is still going on as planned. For the person who's worried about, do I go to that big concert or do I go to a big sporting event, is there good advice you can give them right now?
It's a very personal decision because we don't have the scientific basis to tell you what the probabilities are at this point.
What we do know, experts say, is coronavirus can spread between people within 6 feet of each other and before someone shows symptoms. Joe Fryer, NBC News.
With the coronavirus spreading in the U.S., there are growing concerns about potential shortages of life-saving drugs and medical equipment. NBC's Stephanie Gosk went inside the secret emergency stockpile for a top U.S. hospital to find out how long it would last.
The warehouse is miles from the hospital in an undisclosed location.
It's important that we kind of keep the location under wraps.
Boston's Mass General has been getting ready for a pandemic for years.
Most of it is personal protective equipment. It's the gloves, it's the gowns.
But this emergency cache of supplies, as impressive as it may seem, is only a stopgap.
The goal was to give us about a 2-week buffer.
2 weeks?
2 weeks.
That's not a lot of time.
It's not a lot of time.
We are working closely with our state public health partners.
Mass General activated its emergency operation plan weeks ago.
This, no question, is the hardest possible kind of surge planning for us. Not just more patients, but more patients that need specialized equipment in a specialized space.
The N95 masks are low, but that isn't the only concern. In a worst-case scenario, they may need more ventilators.
We also do have strategies in place to use our ventilators in very unusual ways, such as putting 2 people on 1 ventilator.
Do you worry about actual drugs, pharmaceuticals?
I absolutely worry about drugs.
Last week, the FDA announced the first known drug shortage because of coronavirus. Much of our drug supply depends on manufacturing in China.
Are there particular drugs or categories of drugs that you really have your eyes focused on right now?
I think some of the antibiotics.
Antibiotics, the stuff we use every day.
Every day.
Looking ahead, Dr. Paul Bittinger has a message.
We have to all come together as a society. If everyone comes to the medical system for evaluation, even with mild symptoms, it overwhelms the medical system.
Even at one of the top hospitals in the country. Stephanie Gosk, NBC News, Boston.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.